getting up every day instead of, just to answer an email or, make a phone call or whatever it might be, you're making me nervous. But
You a little bit.
Anyway, so basically, what we want to do is sort of kind of take a deep dive into understanding and taking some introspective look at what our why is personally, and then how we can use that to make our whole work environment, like take off life hat, work hat. I kind of think they should all be the same, and be more effective. And we've got, like Laura said, like 6 months left of the year, and we're going to crush our goals. And but one of the ways that we can do that more effectively is by understanding like what's actually motivating us to get up every day and do what we do. So Laura has a great story that she's going to share with us, and then we'll kind of jump into a little bit deeper way that we can use this introspective look into ourselves to make us more effective.
Okay, thank you. And yeah, when talking about, the greater why, right, it's such an important question, and we certainly don't have time in our 20 minutes together to get that deep. But what we're hoping we can do is think about maybe a more short-term goal, something that we might be able to affect in the next 6 months. We're here at our mid-year meetings. We have time to affect the second half of the year. And what would be a shorter-term goal for each of us that we could really get excited about, that could, wake up in the morning and say, I want to fund whatever this is, and I'm going to do my best today to do it, right? So I did this back in 2017, and we, at the time, had just moved to Arizona, and the hardest conversation I've ever had to have to date was telling my daughter, who was entering sophomore year of high school, and my son, who was entering 8th grade, that we were moving, and they were going to be leaving all their friends. We're going to a new state that we had never lived in before, corporate relocation for my husband. And so the goal at that time for me was to certainly help my kids transition into this new school. The number one fear at the time was that my kids would not have anyone to eat lunch with that first day of school. It really does break your heart thinking like, please, somebody ask my kids, let them sit with you, But also at the time, at that stage of life, it was starting to become clear that I hadn't really funded their 529 college savings plan enough, right? I thought it was fine. I started it when they were babies, but the cost of education had increased. I didn't know if my kids wanted to go out of state. Now we lived in Arizona, or some private school or something. So many unknowns, and I'm like, I gotta figure out a way to earn a bunch of money so that my kids don't have student debt. So I was in sales, selling to restaurants. I knew there were going to be some pretty big challenges based on the timing of when I was entering this role, because it was Arizona, it was spring. Has anyone been to Arizona for spring training baseball? Okay, Miss Brittany. So the restaurants are absolutely packed. They cannot handle another customer, much less a vendor like me who wants to talk about sending them more business, right? They just don't want to see me. On the heels of spring is coming summer. It's going to be 118 degrees. They run a skeleton crew. The owners and leadership leave town if they possibly can. They're not really looking to drive more business during that off season. So I'm looking at 6 months where I'm just thinking, why would anyone want to talk to me, right? But I had to figure out how to overcome this, because all I could think about, if I didn't fund their college education, all I could think about was the movie Step Brothers and my 2 kids age 40 playing video games, and just living at the house and building bunk beds. No, I'm not gonna straddle them with student debt or, prevent them from going to college. The reward payoff, certainly, if I was successful at finding my inner motivation and achieving my goals, would be kids graduate with no student debt. Secondarily, I always had a dream. It's a second generation dream to live in San Diego. My dad always had a dream to move us to San Diego, and he's 94 and he never moved to San Diego. Fast forward today, as most of you know, we live in San Diego.
Mm-hmm.
Our daughter graduated nursing school debt-free, and our son just graduated with his accounting degree debt-free.
Wow, congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
And I just share it because, without really understanding and kind of looking at, there's challenges, right? What happens if I miss? And what's gonna be the amazing reward if I make it? If I find that inner motivation and I get it done. And thank God, I was able to achieve that goal and feel super blessed and happy. So thank you for listening to my story on that.
I love it. So yeah, we wanted to, we don't have a ton of time, but we want to kind of do a little bit of mind mapping, just to kind of get your brains working. I can send you those 4 steps, but the goal, the challenges, the implications, and the payoff. But let's start with number 1, goal. Are there any things that you guys might be striving for or wanting to, make sure that you're secure enough in your role at Genova in order to help you personally, that would motivate you personally to feel like, waking up and doing your job every day has purpose instead of, just to check a box kind of thing.
So are you talking a personal goal or
Something you want to fund in the short term, right?
Fund,
yeah. Like for me, it was
I'm sort of like you with my
funding college.
kids. Everyone goes, why do you keep working? Because I like to help my kids. They have some college loans and I'm trying to help pay that.
Oh,
Because I want them to get a good start in life because rent is expensive, housing's impossible. So I feel like if I have that extra cash,
right.
I can help them out.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
What about you?
I have like a million goals. I'm trying to.
What's one you could get so excited about if you had the money to fund?
My biggest goal right now, my biggest goal in life in general is to be able to retire living off of real estate that I own. That's my goal.
Passive income.
It's not so passive, but
Yeah.
passive income. Yeah, but that's my goal. So that's my goal. I'm on the goal. Hopefully.
The fire pin.
Yeah, if the markets agree with us, that goal will be achieved. If not, no.
What about you?
Like,
Alberto, go ahead.
I would also say retirement, and then kind of opposite of you guys, but being able to take care of my parents. They weren't in a position to take care of me so much, so helping them financially as they age.
No, that's what I was gonna say. Yeah, I finished when my kids are like 35, 36, and 30, and now I'm basically taking care of my wife's parents.
Okay.
So we fly to Panama frequently. My mom-in-law's gonna be 100. My father-in-law's 95.
Wow.
My mom's 85. They're all in Panama.
Okay.
So we have
Travel.
our goals.
Just see
That's
them.
why we moved to Miami, and now
It's
to Naples,
closer.
so we can fly 2 hours and 40 minutes.
That's awesome.
And we've been doing this for a long time now, but it's the goal is to make sure that they have the happiest life as they can while they're still alive.
It's amazing.
Soak it all up.
Yeah.
I want to go with you one day. When you go for real. If you,
To where?
To Panama.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
We go frequently.
I'll go if you want.
We'll show you around.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Tell me, Ralph, anything?
I have no goals.
He's already achieved all his
You
goals.
achieved them
What
all?
he said it means is he already achieved his goals.
I
Okay.
don't have to help my kids. My parents have gone. We helped plenty when they were alive.
Travel.
Retire, travel, retire well.
Okay.
Play golf.
Okay.
Play
Golf.
Play golf.
My goal is to play more golf.
Love
That's a
it.
good goal too. Yeah.
Tommy.
Really, my goal is just financial independence, so I have options to do whatever it is I need to do when the moment arises. So, big thing, where I don't get my paycheck and immediately dole it out to everybody. I mean, that's really my
Yeah.
overriding goal. So it's a little vaguer, but it's
Have that extra cushion. right? To just do what you want with whenever you want.
Yeah, it's not, and also just to be able to, when an opportunity arises, you have the ability to take advantage of it too. That's the
Right.
important part, yeah.
That,
So,
I feel that.
Yeah. Okay, thank you everyone for sharing. So now the last part of our presentation is to talk about something called flow. And I'll start just by asking, has anyone heard of this scientific state of mind called flow?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. There's a Hungarian-American psychologist, Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi.
I call him Mihai Chicken Pizza.
Or Mihai. Okay, his name is very challenging to say, but he studied people in this peak performance state of mind where high challenge meets high skill. At the very top is a state of flow.
Okay.
And I know Alberto was a doctor, right? One of the people that he researched was a surgeon.
Yeah.
And that state of work where you don't even feel like your hands are the ones doing it. It's basically like you've elevated to a place where everything is so effortless, you're not even working. You're just there in the experience, and the experience is sort of happening and carrying you in this blissful, effortless state, right? And that only happens when you have a high challenge and you're personally at a high skill level and you're operating at that.
I feel like that happens in sales. I always tell people your first year is the worst, and your second year, usually you feel like you're not working as hard, but you're making more sales because you start to really understand what you're doing and what's working.
And the third year, I always say too, is then sometimes somebody calls you. And it's like, what?
Yeah.
Like some business is gonna come to me
Right.
now that I've been doing this, working so hard, nobody's calling me back for
Exactly.
3 years.
Like, I
The phone
remember.
rings the other way.
Can't
Yeah.
wait for that. Yeah, that'd be great.
It takes up 3 years
Yeah.
in the same
Yeah,
job.
yeah.
Got it. 3
I mean,
years.
it could be faster, but
It's 3 years, you're right, absolutely.
before they trust that you're gonna stay at that company,
Yeah.
that you know what you're doing.
Right.
So many vendors, salespeople they've had in the past just kind of came and went. And if they call you and they're like, "Are you still at that place?" Like, yes.
Nice.
Right? But you want to expand on that?
Well, I was gonna say, I remember Brittany one time asked me, like, it was a save or something like that. I can't remember what it was that I'd done, and she was like, "What did you do? Like, teach me like what you
Yeah.
did." And I was like, "I just manifested it." But it was because I was in this state.
Yeah.
It wasn't. I didn't like speak it out loud. I think it was like a Jersey Mike's renewal or something like
Yeah.
that. And because I was very challenged, and I was in that state where I was able to have been honing my skills. I used the example in the last session of when I was a dancer and I would perform. If I did a good performance, I had no recollection of it because I was up here in flow, and it just felt like I was like riding a wave. It was amazing. And then, but if I had a bad performance, I could remember every single step, every single person in the audience. Yeah, absolutely, because it was either skill or challenge, all of the anxiety. So,
In the zone. I've
Yeah.
had the experience as a high level athlete.
right,
You play a game, it's almost like when you're done, it's like it was a dream. Like the memory of it was a dream. It is kind of dream state like.
right,
Like the things that happened during it were dream state like, and then you were actually in the zone. And then there are other times when you're struggling out there, and every step that you take, every throw that you made,
right,
you can remember, and you can remember the faults in it.
right. And the cool part about this is that these are levers that we can pull. We can accept challenges from, challenge ourselves or accept them from coworkers. We can also grow our skills, and we can do that in sort of bite-sized pieces every single day. And then they add up, and all of a sudden, here we are up at this top of the chart. So I think that's like one of the goosebumps part about this theory that I love is that these are controllable levers. We just have to recognize them and then tying them back to those intentions that we just put out there in that mind map of what it is that is meaningful to you in order to get into this state and achieve those goals and make de novo better, and therefore be able to, you know, bring those things into your life that would, you know, give you that peace and happiness is really what this is all about, you know? So,
And I'll jump in and just say, if you are in high challenge but low skill, your anxiety is just gonna amp up, right? So we use that example of a surgeon. Like,
Yeah.
you have to perform a surgery, but you don't have the skills to do it.
Yeah.
Hi,
Nick and I are just observing.
Okay, we're just down to our last
Yeah.
3.5
Yeah.
minutes.
Okay.
So if you're taking on a high challenge, but your skills too low, anxiety.
Okay.
If you have high skills, but you're not taking on enough challenge, you're gonna be in apathy and boredom.
Boredom.
And that doesn't make you effective either, right? So, always increasing, it's gonna be more fun, joyful, you're gonna get energy from it, you're gonna grow, and it's just gonna become more effortless to do the work.
I love it.
but I do believe that until we take that first step of really thinking about like what is the most important to us, what is, you know, your mind map, your goals, your, you know, because a lot of times we tend to live in like this kind of distracted state, and once we can kind of become more intentional about what it is, then all of a sudden we're showing up to work, being able to, you know, do things in that state of flow that don't feel like work anymore. They feel like you're just having fun, like you're in the zone, like Rob said, you know, like a dream almost, rather than just checking a box, kind of answering an email. So,
Yeah. Any questions on this stuff?
No.
Okay.
What's the name of the offer again?
Okay, let me tell you.
I heard pizza
chicken pizza.
Chicken
Chicken
pizza.
pizza?
Yeah, Allison and Vic, welcome. Have either of you heard of this concept of flow state of mind? It's
Only because you mentioned it, Tuesday.
Okay.
But yet, no, but I'd
Okay.
love to see the book.
It's
But
it's
Vic and I are in flow, trust me.
I do. I know
We
you
had
are.
breakfast this morning and talked about how happy we are.
Excellent,
That's great.
excellent.
That's awesome.
After all the years of work and ideas and, you know, putting in the time and some very rocky times with the pandemic and all of that. But the concept, just to reiterate it, is when high challenge meets high skill, you get into a state of flow where it feels as though time stands still and that you're not even working. You're just sort of riding this wave of energy and joy and bliss in your work, or whatever it is. So this Hungarian-American psychologist studied surgeons, figure skaters, music composers, CEOs of companies, interviewed them and asked them, you know, what does it feel like when you're in that state? And they said things like, it doesn't feel like I'm even the one doing it. I'm just sort of there, so immersed in the experience that it's like a dream. Time stands still. You forget yourself entirely, and everything's just happening at the highest level. And so that was the point of our talk was first find your why, and we did a brainstorm about, for each of us, you know, what's something that we can affect in the next 6 months? We're here at our mid-year meeting. What's something we can get our arms around for, to set a goal? That what do we want to fund? That if we really do a great job, we'll be able to fund it. And we all shared some stuff. And then we talked about, you know, what we can do in 4 steps. Get clear on your goal, understand you're gonna face some challenges, what are they? What happens if you miss your goal and you don't, you know, make it? And then what's the reward payoff when you do? And just get very clear on that so that you're willing to accept the challenge and build your skills as you go. That was the recap.
Very good.
Okay.
It's okay.